I would like to welcome you to our webinar, Understanding and Unlocking Business Potential in the Middle East, as part of our EU-funded project DESIRE. My name is Simone Jelitzka-Kalm, and I'm part of the DESIRE team. The project and the name stands for Development of E-Health Solutions, Improving Resilience in Europe. The project helps SMEs to address challenges they face when they access the European e-health and digital e-health markets. And furthermore, it aims at supporting innovation and internationalization. The three main activities of DESIRE consist of the collaboration platform, of the offered services supporting innovation and internationalization to third countries, and our DESIRE funding. As our first preparatory webinar for our DESIRE business trip to the Arab Health 2025 in January, we are today offering insights into the e-health market in the Middle East by our expert, David Raetz. I would like to thank also our Austrian Trade Commissioner, Johannes Brunner, who supported us in organizing the webinar. And I would like to inform you that the webinar will be recorded. Now, I'm not sure if already Johannes Brunner is online, because I wanted to pass the floor shortly to him. But let me have a short look.
I think he's not available yet, but what we can do is anytime when he's coming in, he's a very busy man, we will interrupt and take him in.
Absolutely.
Should we do that?
Of course. Thank you very much, David. Now I would like to pass the floor on to you as speaker and our expert in this field I mentioned before. And I wish all of you a successful webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jelitzka-Kalm. Also, thank you very much to everybody to be here today. We heard the webinar will be recorded, so everything we say can and will be used against us. So, no, very good, of course, because I'm pretty sure that during the webinar, more people will be joining a little bit late, and then they can basically see what we have or hear what we've been discussing. So I hope you can see the blue screen right now with the logo coming up.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, super, perfect, wonderful, very good. So I would like to welcome very cordially to this webinar today in the framework of the DESIRE development of e-health solutions, improving resilience in Europe. And as I understood, also, of course, one of the major parts of this program is also to also look into growth opportunities for e-health. And of course, when it comes to growth opportunities, you have to also consider the Middle East as one of the to-be places right now. At this moment, growth is going through the roof, and I'd be happy to shed some light with you on this together. I try to make it a little bit more interactive, so don't be hesitant to let me know what you think or to interrupt and to ask some questions. We do have some questions at the very end, basically, which we will address, or we have a Q&A session. So don't be shy. I'm here for you. I'm sitting right now in Dubai. Very nice weather if I look outside. So we have, like, sorry to make you jealous, but 34 degrees, sunshine, light clouds at the sky. So very nice. probably not as nice as probably it's not as nice in Europe right now. But me being from Germany originally, I know very well the weather in Europe too. So my company is called Prodvant, it's a synthetic word coming from your product advantage. And what I'm basically focusing on is bringing world-class healthcare to the Middle East. And I mean that literally. So I've been here in this field already quite a while. And therefore, I'm very, very pleased and honored today to be presenting to you on behalf of the DESIRE, the Euroclusters, Internationalisierungscenter Steiermark, the Center for Internationalization in Steiermark, Human Technologies area, Advantage Austria, the Austrian trade organization, specifically the ones here from the UAE or located in the UAE, and with the support from the European Union. Therefore, again, I would like to say thank you very much to Dr. Simone Jelitska-Kahlen, being in the project DESIRE at the ICS, and also to Magister Johannes Brunner, the Austrian trade chancellor here in Abu Dhabi, to Human Technologies area, and of course Advantage Austria. And today we're looking into the understanding and unlocking business potential in the Middle East. And you heard a lot of things about the Middle East. Some things might be true, some things might be need a little bit of a correction. What we can say in general is that whatever you want to do in the Middle East is not as straightforward as you might think. It's not a rocket science, but you need a little bit of insight to be able to handle and deal with the intricacies of the region, and then your life will get much easier. Therefore, I'm very, very happy today to go with you through a couple of topics that I thought might be interesting for you. First of all, of course, I'd like to introduce myself to you. Then we would like to go a little bit into the region itself, the economic ecosystem, specifically for healthcare products, what the innovation, what's the role of the innovation in the Arabic markets, also not to underestimate, and also to give you a little bit hands on how there could be effective expansion strategies to conquer this market here, which is really a very, very, I would say, once you're here, it is a very good market. It's a very nice market with high profit margins. And of course, also, you cannot go to the Middle East without understanding a little bit about the culture and the etiquette. So it's kind of, if we have enough time, I'd like to take you a little bit into some things you might need to know, basics, and then, of course, the conclusion, and as said at the very end, also the questions and answers. So let's kick off with something. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Mentimeter. So actually, it's very simple. You take your mobile phone, right? And please scan the QR code that you see here. And that should take you, should give you a link, menti.com. And I would appreciate if you could press the thumbs up if you are online. And we will do this a couple of times also. This is your kind of back channel to me, so I see basically where you are, and makes it a little bit easier for me also, of course, to understand what might be of interest to you. So thank you very much. So I see a lot of thumbs up. Very good. So welcome to this back channel. And what we do now is we warm up a little bit. And I'd like you to please let me know where you are located currently. So I also do that. And you see here the little dot here, the blue one that appeared here on the side. Basically, that's me a little bit further down south, right? So, okay. So we have France, we have Austria too, Excellent. Very good. Okay, Poland. Very nice. Italy. Very good. Okay, super. So we are all scattered over the place, so truly international. As said, I'm located in the Middle East, more or less the business hub of the Middle East, Arab Emirates. So let's go on. And also a question from my side, just out of curiosity. Have you been already to the Middle East? Yes, no, but I'm planning to, hopefully. Or no, it's not on my agenda right now, too busy. As you can see, this lady here. Very good, very good. Answers are coming in. Okay. Okay, perfect, wonderful, good. So we basically have here kind of a mix between people who have been already here or planning to come here. I can only recommend it to you, not only for business reasons, but also because of exploring the culture here. The nice side, it's very developed, touristic, it's very safe also. It's probably not the cheapest location, but if you look around, you'll find also cheaper offers to come here when it's, for example, off times. And I get a lot of times the question, isn't it too hot to be here? And yes, it can be. So if you're coming in August, be prepared for 50 degrees and more. But normally it's like in winter, you know, like we're coming from European countries where it can be also cold. So when it's getting warm outside, you just don't go outside. It's the same like in Poland. When it's getting cold, you don't go outside so much, and also you won't die. So you have air condition, and if you have air condition, normally life becomes much easier. So thank you very much for this interaction. We have some more questions coming up later on, but let me first of all not be impolite and introduce myself. So my name is David Raetz, and by training I'm an engineer, industrial engineer. I have a global executive MBA from Switzerland, and I'm since 25 years in the healthcare business. So I started in the healthcare business really long time ago, first with a defense tech company that was building mobile hospitals. Then I went to Austria and worked 15 years for a global medtech leader in the field of neurological hearing implants. And then later on changed to a global service provider, running hospitals, having a complete supply chain, also medical personnel, and also consulting. When I was in the Middle East, I built quite some businesses here, or since I'm in the Middle East, quite some businesses here, and also a specialty clinic for surgical intervention. I've been holding mostly C-level positions in the range of sales and product. That's where I also consider my strength. So I know one or two things about products and how to basically sell them. And on top of it, I'm very pleased to be also allowed to teach in Austria in the management center Innsbruck. I'm teaching leadership and product management. I'm working also with startups as advisor or support member and helping them to get their products basically from the very beginning right to have a great impact when then it comes later on to market launch and then sales. So my passion is really about supporting innovative companies, enhancing customer relations, and of course improving patient care. This is really what I'm very passionate about. And as you can see in the Middle East, this is for sure something that can be here very useful. So just in numbers here, so you see on the left side the 25 year, a little bit leadership, business development, Middle East product management, and you might be also familiar with some of the logos here. The logos are basically just to give you an overview. When you're working in such a position as a consultant for companies that would be coming into the Middle East, you have to work on the one side, of course, on the corporate side. Here, some startups. I've been also working with a lot of governmental bigger things like the German Army previously, or also big projects like NEOM. You might have heard of that. Big companies outsourcing medical services, hospitals. And of course, here you need to also be able to work with the local players, for example, like local universities, local ministries, very, very important, and also local distributors. We're gonna see in a minute why local distributors would be so important, simply for the reason they basically run the business here, and it's a kind of a interesting setup for the for how the things go. And I will take you a little bit more into the details of that one, because before going into the Middle East, you need to be able to understand exactly how the business is done here. Otherwise, you will run against the wall. And this is my mission, to help you, to help companies from the European Union to have here a good start in the Middle East. So just a fun question. What do you think? How many people do live in the MENA area? So this is basically what you see here, more or less the ones in the dark blue shade, the light blue. Sometimes are counted into the Middle East, sometimes not. Therefore, if you just give me an indication what you think, how many people, because I will also do the same. Because it's of course very important that you know how big is your target group in this region. So just give an estimate. I will tell you, of course, later on where we are. So I have one vote. Okay, 100. 100 is already good. Okay. Then, okay. Oh, 164, 234, so it's going up. Very good, very good. Any more votes, anything? Okay, so 208, going a little bit down again, so we have an average. 200,000. I feel like at an auction. Any other bids? No? Okay, perfect. Then let's have a look. So, of course, you need to understand the MENA healthcare market. So the Middle East is really an economic powerhouse. Specifically, the healthcare sector is on the rise. And here's very important to understand that, like, there is great opportunity for European companies delivering high quality and innovative products. Right? This is what we're known for in the European Union. That's also what the Arabic population knows us for, right? Things like Mercedes-Benz, Siemens, like all of those European brands, like they are considered as high quality, high level, and therefore if we bring this in, basically, it would be very difficult for us as Europeans to compete, for example, in this market here with low-cost providers, for example, from the far Asian area. So here we don't need to try to compete with, for example, Chinese for consumables, because actually we will never be able, by our structure, how also our costs are structured in the European Union with those. Therefore, but if we go on quality and if we go on innovation, we will be very, very, I would say, successful, or we can be very successful serving 450 million people. So actually this area is huge. Why we're saying 450 million people? So basically it's like the European Union, right? maybe even bigger, because there's no real count when it comes to Africa. Africa is a bit chaotic. Nevertheless, those people, they have, of course, healthcare needs like everywhere in the world. So, of course, not everybody has the same level of money. And we will look into that. But nevertheless, this doesn't matter, because nevertheless, depending on what you do, and specifically when you're in the digital space, and Africa is digital first, right? They can easily access with all of their mobile phones, for example, services that you're offering. So therefore, the target group here, right? The possible people you can reach in this region with 400 million people is, of course, gigantic, right? If you take it into proportion, America is about like 300, right? You take Canada on top of it, let's say overall maximum 350. So it's a bigger market than the US. Keep this in mind. And also what's very, very interesting is that we have here a very young population. So the age distribution of the population. So more than 50% of the people here are 20 to 30 years old. That means like when you're having a digital product, like they are digital natives. They know how to use their mobile phone. And if you don't come with a product that is app enabled, they're not interested in it, right? So therefore, you need to keep this in mind. Whereas in Europe, it sometimes takes time, and we go like, okay, what is with the elderly people that don't have access to a computer, whatever, forget about it here. So here, even the 70, 80-year-old people have a mobile phone. And a lot of times, this is the only way how they have access to the internet. So everybody has and will be having an internet access and a mobile device. Therefore, keep this in mind. So whatever you try to do, here the people are really also very, very quick in uptaking new ideas and new services. Another thing that can be very, very interesting is that 60% of the people in this region here do live in urban areas. So that means like they agglomerate in those big cities, right? With all of its positive and negative things. You can reach them very quickly. Also, if you have one outlet here in Dubai, you can basically serve 10 million people, right? Whereas, of course, when it comes to problems like bad air quality, whatever, you will have severe problems in cities like Cairo. So all of this urbanization also comes with it positive and negative. Also, what's interesting, despite the fact that the population on average is so young, we have an extreme growth rate of older people. Simply for the reason because people with the enhanced healthcare quality get older. They didn't have access to healthcare quality before. Like in Africa, if you had diabetes before, probably you were having a significantly shortened lifespan, simply for the reason you didn't have access to high quality healthcare. That's now different. And also, I'm going to, for example, like the diabetes example, the prevalence of lifestyle diseases is here very, very high. So for diabetes, we can say, for example, that 12 to 18% of the current population, and it's a today figure, right, has a lifestyle problem. So that means like the companies, they look at that and say, look, this is going to get more. The government is breaking out in sweat and saying, look, if this goes up 20%, 30%, whatever, how are we going to manage this? Therefore, they're running a lot of programs where they say, look, healthy food, please don't eat junk food, start running, move yourself. They have initiatives. I was, for example, on the weekend driving with my bicycle with my family, with my kids on the Sheikh Zayed Road, a 7-lane road, just to activate people to go on their bikes and to be a bit more and following a bit more healthy lifestyle. So that means like a lot of things are here coming with all of that. And you need to understand it's a hyper, basically urbanized area. It's getting even more condensed on the cities, and with it, all of the problems coming. And if you're addressing such things with your solution, you'll be king. Absolutely, because there is a huge need right now, and the need will be even going up in the future. So going back to Mentimeter, what do you think? What do you think is the healthcare market size? So what do you think? How many billion of US dollars could be buried here in the sand, so to say? So just give me some ideas what you think could be. It's quite interesting to say that there are no numbers for that really in the European Union, but for this area here, there are quite some numbers around. So, okay, the first one, 300, 320, 380. Wow, okay, very keen. Super. Any more guesses? Oh, we're going towards 400. Even more, 420 roundabout. Wow, super. 380, okay, little correction. Okay. Very good. Okay, so to give us a rough idea about that one, we don't want to guess around. So I did some research. And right now, we have a today's volume of 250 billion US dollars. Net rate 7. So you have 0.5% only for the healthcare. That means like you can earn 5 billion per year at least. So it's going up, and on top of it, there are a lot of projects.
Sorry, I think we have some technical issues. It's Mr. Raetz, we cannot hear you. Perhaps we will use this technical problem to introduce briefly our Austrian Trade Commissioner Johannes Brunner in Abu Dhabi. Welcome, Johannes.
Yes, welcome, Simone, and sorry for being late. I had been called to a quick emergency meeting before. Well, maybe should I take advantage of this opportunity that David is probably logging out and logging in again to, first of all, welcome all our participants to this webinar. I think it's great that we have such an international group here today. I am the Austrian Trade Commissioner in the UAE, and as such, our role is usually to help Austrian companies entering global markets, finding business partners for them, and providing them with information on the market conditions and opportunities. As such, we are also cooperation partners of ICS Styria and Human Technology Styria's with future events that will take place in the healthcare sector here in the UAE. In particular, I'm referring to the Arab Health Show and exhibition, where we will also accompany a delegation, mostly of Austrian companies in that case, but also with 2 international participants from the DESIRE program to that show in Dubai in late January. Having said that, we have already exceeded the maximum number of participants for that event. So only if some of the participants are actually now attending the webinar, I'm happy also to answer questions about that particular delegation coming up in January next year. But I see David has just joined the call again, and as I believe he has been introduced already more formally, but I welcome him because he is really somebody who has first-hand experience as a manager of an Austrian medtech company, if we want to call it like that, and later on as a consultant in the healthcare sector here in the UAE, and he's looking back to a number of years of experience on site. And I hope you all are as excited as I am to listen to his practical tips he may have, as well as his insights on about doing business, in particular in the healthcare sector in the UAE and beyond. David, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much again for the warm words. It's a pleasure to see you again. Thank you for the very nice introduction. And yes, I'm very pleased to be here. Let me just try again. We had a little bit of a technical flaw. So I hope now that you can hear me well and see me well. Good. Okay. I can also switch off my probably my video. You know how I look like, and then it's probably better for the quality. Let me just see. I can. So I'll just switch off. You can see the screen, right? Okay, perfect. So as said, the healthcare market here is quite large with 250 billion. And what's the most significant about it is the growth. If you look at it, you know, like it's nearly 12%. So that means like what you can add is you can add 25 billion every single year on top of that number. And this is the current number. So that means like there will be way more things going on than in the rest of the world. And you can see this also with a significant number of projects that are in the pipeline. So they add another 50 billion. So those are hospital projects, those are public well-being projects, those are research projects. So actually, really, this is a great number. So right now, a lot of things are happening here. And if we look into the outlook for the future, then we will see that the AI market will rise up to 320 billion. Of course, this is not only medical, but in general, they want to become the hub for AI, one of the top 5 countries, and they're already in the top 5, we can already say. So therefore, this is really something very significant, and digital transformation. So if you're in the e-health space, for the future is bright, because they will be by 2034, they will be estimated 420 billion in this market. And as I said, the whole region is about digital mobile first. So that's a very, very important thing. And also they're not sitting on it because being governmental or asking that the things to be done by the government only. No, they want your participation. So they are looking for a private sector participation of above 65%. So that means like they say, we cannot do all of that. So you are invited. You give us something, you can take part of the cake. You can have a slice of the cake. Perfectly fine. So, and I really can say that the things are really looking very, very well here in regards of economic numbers. Now let's look at the geopolitical thing. And I think this is something we must not forget. So actually, if we look at that, so here you see the numbers, you see and that, I think this is quite insignificant to see, like here the population, MENA is 450 million. GCC basically is the Gulf Cooperation Council. These are the countries that are here in this Gulf area here, and they are the economic powerhouse. They have a lot of money. That means like the GDP is very high, and we're gonna compare them also to some European countries later on. And you can see, overall, this is significant numbers. So we must not underestimate this region for its economic power. The problem here is also, and this you see with those little explosions here, I hope that's not too placative, but at the same time, like it's a troubled region. If you see that everything that has this marking is a region with a potential problem, geopolitical problem, and it is very difficult as a European to go there and to do business, only also for personal safety reasons. So you don't want to go to Yemen, you don't want to go to Somalia, you don't want to go to Lebanon right now. We know all about those problems, but nevertheless, those countries are here. And you have to also see this might be changing in the future. So that means like when certain problems are over, they also need to catch up. So keep this in mind. So what is currently there, it's maybe a smaller basis than you would expect, but at the same time, like you can serve those countries and they still have needs for medical and e-health things. You can serve it out of a safe space, for example, like the United Arab Emirates or Qatar or Saudi. So here, these are the powerhouses that most of the companies are focusing on. It's very clear, United Arab Emirates. United Emirates are basically the beginner's place for the Middle East. A lot of companies choose to start with the United Arab Emirates. Why? Because it's business friendly. Everything is in English. The frameworks, the legal frameworks are here, right? That means like you have a basis, for example, to start your business without any bigger hassle. Yes, it is expensive, but you have a framework that you as a Western person would be able to deal and to cope with, at least with a little bit of help. Then you have the countries here like Qatar, Kuwait, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Oman. They are really, really big. And most of the companies are also looking on the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to basically, because of the amount of people, first of all, and secondly, about the income. Why I'm saying you also need to be in Levant, because you need to also probably serve this region here, the Levant area, and you need to also do this. For example, Jordan is a lovely country, very stable, always been, and they're doing a lot, for example, through the Royal Hashemite Court, through the King's basically foundations, very good. In Egypt, absolutely here, this is the most populated country in the whole region with 112 million. Here also said, if you have something that might be a good thing for the masses, whatever, right? Then Egypt is a wonderful country because it said everybody has a mobile phone, everybody is doing their things via the mobile phone. So it's a really digital country. So they basically stepped over certain developmental steps and went directly into the digital basically age. So having this said, for me, it would be, and this is just out of curiosity, if you would like to give me also an overview about what do you think are the most interesting countries for you having this heard, or maybe you already had the possibility also to think about it a little bit. And there is the possibility, so you can put some of the countries basically. You can tap them, and then you can submit if you feel like okay. And then we could see, for example, here. where your focus would be. Okay. Saudi and Emirates are, okay. UAE, Jordan also there, Qatar, Morocco, Oman, very good. Super. Egypt, depending on what your type of product would be. If you need a lot of people, that's the place to go. Absolutely. So very good. Thank you very much for giving me these insights. Even more coming in. Super. Egypt, Kingdom, Saudi Arabia. So we have those, I would say, the top three. That was basically what I was expecting. Qatar is also a lovely country, but a little bit small, to be honest. But at the same time, one of the richest countries in the world. So if they want to do something, they do it. So normally funding is not a big question. You need to just find the right people. Super, thank you so much. And I will also share with you those results if you're interested in, of course. Even more. Oman, also very lovely, now number 4. It's a wonderful country. I really love Oman. It's a bit slow, but very, very Arabic. So if you're looking for a romantic view on the Arabic Peninsula, then Oman is the place to go. Very good. So going for the next one. So if we compare it, so it's for me easier to compare where we are. And I do think if you take, for example, the United Arab Emirates, which was here on the top position, we can we can compare it to the Netherlands and Belgium. And here you see also size-wise. So I just put an overlay of the United Arab Emirates over the Netherlands, and you can see it's a bit bigger than the Netherlands. Probably it's like Netherlands and Belgium together, right? It has a very long coastline. What you see here, where the name Belgium would be here, all of this is what we call the empty quarter. So basically nothing than only dunes, only dust, only landscape bordering to Saudi Arabia. Here is really something that there's not much going on. But in the coastal area, there's 10 million people that share a very densely packed, this coast stripe. And then therefore, that's also like the Netherlands, it's a trade country. So it was always and will always be depending on trade. There's not much growing here. So people always had to be open to exchange with other countries, which of course for us is great. If we put this into perspective, I put some comparison for you here. And I think this also is quite interesting. So if you look at it, the GDP is in the UAE half of what you would see in the Netherlands. And KSA, it's pretty much the same. Netherlands is a country where the people are earning very, very well. So they're now at 59,000 US. They will be overtaken. So UAE is already at 92% of what's the Netherlands, and really Netherlands is one of the rich countries in the European Union. Saudi Arabia not so much, because there's also a lot of rural areas. But what's significant here again, and you can only stress this number a lot of times, basically is the growth rate. So it's 4%. So 4%. So that's basically, that's 6-7 times higher than the Netherlands. And Netherlands is doing quite well in comparison to other countries in the European Union. Same is also with Saudi Arabia. So that means the growth is here at least 4 times than one of the wealthier countries in the European Union. That means over time, now give it 2-3 more years, we're going a little bit into recession, they will continue growing. That means the numbers here with the GDP will also go up, because this is the idea, to go up. And I'm going to show you this in a minute. So actually here, and they're very open to cooperate. If they feel like you're legit, if you're a good company, they will be very, very happy to work with you. They already have partners like Germany, right? They know USA, they want to work with those countries. And of course, always, and this is an important thing here, it's China, right? That means like you don't need to compete. If you're competing on a low cost level, which is China known here for, and this is not why I'm just saying, this is out of the pure experience that we do have, then you are lost. So your USP must be innovation in quality. User experience comes first, digital first. And that's where the European Union is still leading, and we can use this to our advantage. So, but now I always get a lot of questions. How is it with the oil? And like they're making all of their money with oil. Yes, actually that is true. But here comes the catch. So if you look at that, like the oil business, as we all know, this is not a sustainable business because actually it's a dirty business. Very simple. So of course we still need it, but it will get less over time. On the same time, the expenses here, because those countries have been very rural in the very beginning when the oil was found. But nowadays, like they have a very, very complex administration, and they need a lot of money to run this administration. So here, the problem in general is, if this is an overview about the oil price as reported by the OPEC, and here you see the crude oil price basically. So now comes the interesting point, why they really need to diversify. And this is because if we take, for example, Saudi Arabia, they have a break-even point when selling the barrel of 90 to 98%, and it's constantly going up. That's why it's not an even line. It's basically going up. And here you can see now that they have been, for the most time during the last 2 years, for example, or in general, they've been under their break-even point. That means like they're losing money if they only focus on the oil business. That means like this is not sustainable, and they recognized it. So therefore they said, look, oil is great. It gives us a start advantage because it gives us the funds to do other things. But at the same time, we have to think about the future of our country. And therefore, we need to be advanced in technology, right? We need to be leading in certain sectors that we identified we can do, because actually we cannot lead in growing watermelons or tulips like the Dutch. It's not possible due to environmental factors, but we can thrive on digital things, we can thrive on financial things, we can thrive on trade, we can thrive on knowledge, right? AI, all of those things. So actually, they're very clever because they said we need to now diversify. And they started already a couple of years ago. So you need to know why this is now such a great story and such a great growth, because actually they set up a agenda and they really pulled it through. And I think this is a significant thing. So there's a thing called the UAE Vision 2021. And it sounds like outdated, but you need to know what they wanted to do. So first of all, they wanted to preserve, of course, their identity, because a lot of people here, out of 10 people in the UAE, 9 are expats. So that means like only 10% of the population are the original people that have been living here. So they need to preserve their culture. It's very clear, because otherwise they would lose it. Therefore, that's what they do, and they're proud to be also Emiratis. It's great when you talk to them. They're very, very decent, very educated, very friendly people that invite you to come to their house if you keep to the rules. They said, okay, the basis of everything is the educational system. So what they do is, with all of those universities and schools, they have a strong emphasis on technology integration. So even the little ones, like they get their laptops, they get their input. They are basically putting, wherever they can, they put technology. When you go to the Ministry of Health, you will be greeted by a robot saying, hello, I'm your virtual assistant. Can I bring you a coffee? And this is no joke. And then this little robot goes away and comes back and brings you a coffee. I mean, this is insane, but this is, like in the children here, my children are growing up in the UAE. For them, it's totally normal. You just say, oh, look, robot, my 5-year-old, let's hug. And then they hug the robot. And this is a thing which expresses just how they react towards technology and advancement and innovation. They really embrace it. Also, very important, when you come to a foreign country, you don't want to be disowned. A lot of people are afraid. They tell me, David, like, come here, put all of my money, and then tomorrow my whole bank account is empty. No, cannot be, because actually they put the legal frameworks, because companies and people would not come if it would not be safe. Yeah? If you would not trust your bank to keep your money, you wouldn't give your money. Therefore, they are creating these frameworks on all levels, right? Legal, financial, healthcare, digital, GDPR. Absolutely. So data protection. So everything is getting very well thought through, and rules are set so to create security. And it's also not, you cannot bend the rules. If you go here too fast with your car, man, it's getting really expensive. They catch you and then they make you pay. Also, because they're coming from an oil business, which is not the most cleanest one, they said we need to create a sustainable environment where people can thrive. So actually, they focused on investments in infrastructure where they can make things easier. They can reduce the CO2 footprint. And with digital health, of course, this is something that fits very, very well. Knowledge economy. Yeah, here they say, okay, we need all of those ingenious people to get into the country. So, and they do actually, because the work-life balance is excellent, right? You always have good weather, so you're earning enough, you can afford a nice house, it's safe, you can be outside at 3 o'clock, nobody will steal your wallet. It's perfect. So actually, it's a very, very nice environment. And most important for us, world-class healthcare. They really put this on the agenda and said, look, we want to have world-class healthcare. So they were able to get all of the big hospital groups, you name it. Here's London Mediclinic, American Hospital, Cleveland Clinic, to set up here and to have branches where they provide high-level medical care. This is for the big ones, but the medium ones also, same here. So if you are an expert in your field, you can come here, you're invited, you can practice. Very good. So therefore, suddenly you had world-class neurosurgeons coming to the country, doing surgeries here. So people didn't have to travel to the US anymore to get a brain tumor removed, and so on. So actually, and they say we want to be the leaders in regional healthcare. Saying regional healthcare is a bit, they want to be the world leader in healthcare. And that's what they're basically doing. They don't do half things. They always try to be at the top. So what is the importance of innovation for the region? So if you have something that is very, very innovative, why do they need it? Yeah, very simple, because actually they say if we bring those technologies to our place, we will be more competitive in a global race, right? For talent, for like technology coming from our country. We want this. Why do we want this? Also because it creates high-level jobs. We don't want our people to work, like low-level jobs. We want them to be decision makers, managers, programmers, scientists, doctors, all of those things where they say, okay, this is where we feel like people would be good. That's why they also say we need the education, right? Otherwise, it would not be possible. So the job creation, creating high-paying jobs, quality of life with all of these things. I said, the robot. People come in, they feel nice. It's just an example, like quality. Technology can make your life much easier. I said, I don't need to go to the doctor's office anymore, like to make or to call them to make an appointment, whatever. They even suggest to me when I should be coming next time to the doctor's office for a follow-up. They will show me my reports, whatever. So it's super convenient, right? And if I need to change something, they will do that right away. And last but not least, again, this sustainability, all of this technology, all of this innovation should really help to make a better living and to improve the quality of life even more. So if we look at that, so now they said, okay, 2021 is over. It took them a little bit longer, simply for the reason that they we have some nice music here. They also need to build on those. So they finished it in 2021, a little bit later due to COVID, but at the same time they said, okay, what's the next steps? What do we need to do? How can we built on this foundation to make it even better. Now, yeah, and then they said, look, what is important? GDP. Right now, we're a little bit below the Netherlands, but we want to double the GDP. We want to double the GDP until 2033. That sounds crazy, because actually, if you want to double the GDP, you need to have double the earnings, double the people, double the job, double the infrastructure, all of it. You need to double basically everything, right? Maybe not double the people, but having more well-paying jobs and whatever, and sell more and so on. And they're really doing that. So they say what we need to do is we need to get the companies into the country, and they do that through the R&D program. For example, they say, pharma companies, you want to do your research here in country, do it. We'll give you a lot of benefits. We will give you tax presents. We will give you tax incentives. We will give you land. We will make sure that you can build up your research. Production, absolutely the same here. So if you want to produce something here, be our guest. If you want to develop your software here, be our guest. We make it super easy. You can get talent from India, because you don't want to open up a business in India, because that's Wild West. That's very difficult. Here, very easy, and you can get a programmer. I built a department with 20 programmers. And on average, it took me 10 days to get a programmer from the interview to my desk. That's something where I say, okay, that's great. And then, of course, they say, if we double this, we need to make sure that the standard of living, the quality of life is not going down. Therefore, they're also running a lot of social agenda things. That means like new hospitals, schools, kindergartens, preventive medical care, whatever, vaccination programs, all of that. And that falls under this Dubai social agenda. Then they back it up and say, with the digitalization, we need to have the national strategy for AI. And they already started in 2017. Sorry, I was not thinking about AI in 2017, but they already said we want to be the leader. And they consequently, started those things. And now they have, for example, the Mohammed bin Zayed University of AI, one of the leading institutions. And a lot of companies like NVIDIA, they're coming here and getting their people from here. So basically, you see, it all makes sense. It's very well designed and clever, put forward. So to position themselves geopolitically and strategically on the world map. So they're now going from a medium power to a big power by knowledge, by GDP, by export, import, talent, whatever. So if we, and this is not only that they really have kind of a vision. The important thing is, if you have a vision, you also need to put it into practice. And I just want to give you two ideas. Here, for example, they're building now the Hamdan bin Rashid Cancer Hospital in the UAE, which will be the leading cancer hospital in the region, probably in the world. It's like they're putting really big money on the table for that one. So they will feature 50 specialized clinics, 30 research areas, 60 infusion rooms, 10 urgent care rooms, radiotherapy, inpatient beds, and so on. All only for very specific for cancer treatment. Amazing, right? And they say, okay, we want to become the leaders. So we have to invest. So, and right now they're looking for partners, because they know they cannot do it themselves. They can build the building, they can give the money, but at the same time, they still need the specialists. So now they're talking to the hospitals, to the specialists itself, and say, look, if you join us, if you help us, right, you will get a piece of the cake. And everybody says, oh, yes, please, where do I have to sign? So it's quite interesting. Also, like mega projects like NEOM, right? What is all behind? Yes, there's a lot of blah, blah. It's a mega city, whether it works or not. But at the same time, what they do is they create a framework where you can try out things. Also in the healthcare space. I was involved with well-being projects in NEOM. It has normally nothing to do with this city or the idea behind it. But at the same time, like they said, oh, our people need to be happy. So we'll just measure their heart rate. We will measure their heart rate variability. Based on that one, we will put it into our digital system and give suggestions what they should do. Also dietary suggestions when they go to the canteen. Like when you pay, they will say, mac, sorry, you shouldn't take the dessert, right? You should rather take a salad or something like that. Whether you like it or not, but it's working, and that's what we're doing. Why I'm saying Dubai, and why I'm saying the UAE, and why I'm saying the area in general. Now, yeah, very simple, because everybody here in this region, starting with Saudi, with Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, also they have a kind of the same type of vision, like they're all going into the same direction with a little bit of different emphasis on certain things, but it is very clear that they all basically have the same idea. Get the business to our place and make it sustainable. That's basically what they do. Important is, if we look at that, and I try to give you a little bit of insights, and what I really like to do is normally a SWOT analysis. And as you know, SWOT analysis consists of strength, opportunities, weaknesses. We also have to look at it. And then, of course, the threats. So I'd like to invite you to go with me through that, because I do think this will put the things together. And that's true for the UAE and the GCC. The African countries are a little bit different, but I would say, as we said, this is the powerhouse. Let's have a look at that. That will give you a better overview. So the strengths are really right. You have expanding markets. It's rapidly expanding. And it's backed up by those strategies that we just seen by the government. So that's really something that is enormous. So they're saying they want to do something, and they put the money on the table. They have a high GDP, so they can afford also high quality medical treatment, technology. They can. And also they have a strong focus on those new technologies, AI, digitalization, and so on. So if you're working in this field, bam, that's it. Also, they said, look, we need to make it easy for those companies to come here. So actually, FDA approval, ISO accepted, CE mark accepted. So if you are already established somewhere, be our guest, come here. So that in turn turns into a lot of opportunities. So as I mentioned, there are a lot of those hospital projects going on, smaller clinics, social agenda projects, and so on. So all backed up by the government. They can be private, they can be governmental. And as I said, and out of those corporations, there is a strong demand for innovation and technology. And in combination with this privatization, of course, it's great, because they say, you're innovative. We don't care whether you're small or big, but you're innovative. So please come to our country and do the things. But in the same time also, as everybody wants to get a piece of a cake, people want to get the best. So they're already established local players. They're really looking for the best possible service and also quality. So they need to make sure that they're buying the right stuff. And I'm sorry. One thing that is also quite interesting is you don't need to open up in every single country. Normally what you can do is you can have a hub and spoke system. So you open up in one country and you deal with the other countries, which makes it much easier. Most of the companies choose to open up a thing, for example, in the UAE, because it's so easy to set up business, right? So where there's a lot of light, there's also a lot of shadow. Of course, we need to also look at that. And that's something I think is the most important part of this presentation. I want to really sensitize you a little bit for the things, because this all sounds perfect. So basically, I would buy into that all the time. So there's a fierce competition. That means, like here, if your competition is not already here, they want to come, and they won't. If you're hesitating, they take your spot. Very simple. So everybody is already here because it's such a good business. On top of it, they said they are kind of outnumbered here. So they have to find mechanisms. And there's a certain protectionism system here. And we're going to look at that in a second. Really where we can say, okay, how can we protect our own interests? And they have a system in place where you always need to involve local people. It is not possible to get around them, or in very few cases. They also do have regulatory and also bureaucratic barriers to entry. So that means like here, sometimes it is not as easy as it might seem, or it's not as straightforward. Sometimes you only learn about the things when you're in country and when you're talking to the people, because it's not written down. The country is still comparably young. Also, what you need time. So whenever you want to sell something here, you have extended lead times, and you need to know the people. It's all relationship selling. That means like if the people don't know you and don't trust you, they will not buy anything from you. And for them to get to know you, it takes some time. And therefore also you need to be locally represented. If you're not here, you cannot build a relationship if you're not locally active. Now coming to the threats, and this is a very, very important point. Like there can be very high costs associated with market entry and ongoing operations. So here, it's one of the most expensive cities in the world. Compare it with Tokyo, New York, London, whatever. If you open up a business here, it can get very, very expensive. On top of it, those people are dealing with top brands with very, very good customer experience. So that means like, don't you dare not to provide here a customer first, customer centric, high customer experience. If you do that, you sell once, you're out. If your service is not up to the standards, forget about it. You will not get any continuous business. Being such a powerhouse, of course, the market occupancy is very, very high, and it's very, very dense. So that means like also the things that you do, probably you will find people, other products that basically could replace your service because they're cheaper, they would be probably here. So don't expect that you're coming and you can build something on the green field. You're basically 40 years too late. Yeah? Because at that time, nobody was looking here. It was kind of a spot in the desert. Now this has changed, and now everybody wants to get a piece of the cake. A very important point is here is a high risk of getting stuck with inefficient regional partners, because you need them. And if you can't work without somebody, they know, we'll find out whether this works or not. And you need to be very careful that you choose the right partners you work with. And also that they really do what they say. So not everybody is as good as they say. And some people say, you give me money, right? And then inshallah, we'll find out whether the things are working or not. Not all of them are like that, but I know companies who have severe problems and struggling exactly with that, because they found after long search a distributor, and then it's not working. Having mentioned this word distributor, we have to look at the import. So how are the things here basically working? Let's have a look. So you probably know this setup. So you're producing something, you're programming something, you're the manufacturer of a medical product, medical software, whatever. It must not necessarily be physical. It can be also digital. And what you want to do is you want to reach your customer in the Middle East here, right? Somewhere. It doesn't matter. So I'm telling you this in general because actually it's always the same for any country in the Middle East. So there's no big difference. So that seems straightforward, right? Easy peasy. Let's do that. We program, we sell in Dubai, everything will be fine, right? It's not that easy, because, as said, they are having some protectionism, and they call it import regulations. So that means like you need to fulfill certain rules so that you are allowed to distribute, to sell your product in the region, right? But still, of course, you want to grow in the MENA region. That's what you want to do, because it's a very, very good high earning market. So you want to do that. So what do? Yeah, very simple. You install a distributor. And a distributor is a wonderful thing, right? A distributor basically is a place, and what they do is you give them the brand representation, right? So they become your ABC company representative. You can export to them. And what they do is they go to the border, basically, and then they have an import license and they registered your products. Both is mandatory. This is the protectionism, right? And then they pick up your products and then they send your products to the customer. They invoice him, then they send you the money back to back. Yeah, they're basically the guys that the customer are talking to and so on. Sounds like a super deal, right? Now, yeah, except for the one thing, like this guy might have a network and influence and might help you to get your things done or not. But the problem is those distributors, normally what they do have, they have many, many products. Literally, they have 10,000s of products and only hundreds of salespeople. So if you have 10,000 products and you have a sales force of 100 people, every single salesperson needs to sell 100 products. So now your product is one on the list with 99 others. What do you believe how much time and effort they would have to spend on your product? Whereas there's 99 that are already established and that make them money. Yours is only costing time, nerves, and money. So actually, they might be not interested in doing what they said they would be doing and selling your product. So actually here you have a bit of a kind of a problem. And also on top of it, if you have 100 products, how can you become the expert for a product? It's virtually impossible unless your product is super simple, which is not working for the Europeans. As we said, we need to have an innovative, we need to have a high quality product. And medical products normally need to be explained to the professional using it. So therefore, okay, you're having a problem. On top of it, they say, look, if you want to work with us, like we're the most beautiful, the biggest, the best, it will cost you a lot of money. So actually, they will start, taking commission of 25%, 30%, 40, 50, 60. I know even companies that have 100% on top of their product. So now you can decide if you have 100% distributor who's charging you the same price again, whether you double the price of your product, which will probably kill it in the market, or you reduce your sales price to the distributor down to 50%, which will then kill your margin. So you see, this is a kind of a difficult situation because actually you're fighting against established incumbents at a high price with an unclear outcome what the services of a local partner would be. So if we look at that, so let's have a look at the local distributors. You need a local distributor, and it doesn't matter where you are, in what country, if you are in a free zone. A free zone is, we're going to talk about it like an oil rig, basically. So that's something where you're not able to act out of it and to sell, because actually that's one of the limits. You can do some marketing activities, but you cannot sell because you don't have an import license, you don't have a warehouse, you cannot distribute the things to your customers if you want it or not, right? And why can't you just open a distributorship? Because you need a local warehouse in a mainland, and this is where it is very high investment. So here you need to, for example, have 50 square meters of a fully equipped medical warehouse, even if you're selling software. Apologies. So having this said, it is not as straightforward as you might think. Why is it working with the distributors? Here you see this old Mercedes, because they've been working on this already since 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Mercedes-Benz came here into the country when the country was founded. 53 years ago. And since then they did it. And at that time it was a completely different environment. Now they're still the distributor and they're making a lot of money selling Mercedes to the people here, of course, but they already have a business 50 years, let's say it like that. And you're just new. So these are local families that say, yeah, of course, we take the ones, like not only Mercedes, but we also sell medical devices. We open up hotel branches for the Hilton Group. We do this, and these are conglomerates. These are very, very rich, very powerful people. But the question is, do they have an interest to represent your, basically, your company? So they have a warehouse. They have the licenses, they have they can do the registration, they have the network, they can take over the import logistics and can participate. But as I said, they're expensive. You have to pay for all of those services with your profit margin, reducing your profit margin and giving the money to them. Often, as I said, they're conglomerates. They're not specialized. They say, inshallah, this will sell itself. Often it doesn't for medical products. Also, what they say is, if we do that, then it's only us. Like we can be the distributor, but nobody else. So you're stuck with those guys. And they sit on a contract for 3 years. So you cannot say, you're not working anymore, right? So I take it to another distributor. No. You have to pay for that, for the projected turnover. So it's getting very, very expensive. And of course, they're saturated with other products. They often don't have the experience that you need for your specific type of product. And of course, they're always short on stuff. On the other hand, as I said, it's very, very easy to register a product that has CE mark or FDA approval. So if you only want to sell for professional use, that means like only in hospitals, only professionals can do that. If you have an investment good, more or less, right? You're selling an X-ray machine. You don't sell this to an end consumer, right? This is a completely different story. It can only be done in a professional environment. It can only be done in a controlled way by a trained professional. Then it's super easy to get your registration. So you even only have to do some classification registration. Basically, you have to bring some documents, product catalog, whatever. Like you put all of this as a submission file together. If you have CE mark, normally you have all of this stuff available, and just go send it over. You pay your fee. It's a yearly fee. It's a one-time registration fee, and then at a certain point, the distributor will do that for you, but they will charge you for it. So basically, they will just forward the cost to you, and then you have to pay the product registration fees. Having this said, for me, it's quite interesting. If you could kindly have a look again at our Mentimeter, if you could kindly give me an overview about how your products are currently from a regulatory point of view. If you could let me know, that would be very interesting. So if you already have CE marked your products, or you have FDA, or you don't have a strategy yet, okay, aiming for CE mark, very good, okay. And the CE mark normally is the easier one. So that's the main thing here. That's the big advantage. So CE mark is accepted, and as I said, you can have the registration within 2-3 weeks. Not a problem if you have all of the documents available. Thank you so much for these insights, okay. So CE mark is a good thing to aim for. Keep it already in mind. Now you have this slide, what you need then later on also for the registration here. It's always easier to prepare that beforehand when creating the set of documents. Oh, we have even somebody with FDA. Oh, good. FDA is also working, right? That's perfectly fine. It's in the meantime, the good thing is they're pretty equal. Before they were a bit different with the MDR. A lot of things have been equalized out. So very good. So I just want to give you a quick overview about an example for a distributor. And one of the guys I'm working with, for example, is the City Pharmaceutical Company, City Pharmacy. Yeah, it's one of the leading, the biggest basically here. It's 1 billion turnover. And what they do have, they have literally 100 salespeople, and they said about 10,000 products. And here, to just give you some names of who are they representing, you probably know some of those. They are household names, quite famous in the medical community and so on. And then of course you're coming, and then they say, look, so what are your sales numbers? You go like, oh, we don't have a market yet. They say, it's difficult. it's difficult to take you in because actually our guys are so busy, right? So I don't know whether we want to do that. Come back if you have some projects. Come back if you have some clients. Then we might consider to be the distributor for you. So they're in the absolute power. So you cannot do anything, and you need somebody also, for example, to get in touch with them. And if they feel like, oh, this fits to those products that we have already here, what you have. Oh, great. Okay, then let's take it in. But nevertheless, it's very difficult because you need to still do all of the marketing work yourself, because basically they're charging for it, but they're not doing very much. So this is a point. You can be lucky, but most times they say, you know, effort is too much, or you really pay for it. And then there's option, of course, you can also go to smaller distributors, and smaller distributors are basically looking like that. So you have your Majestic Auto Spare Parts. I didn't want to name anybody, but this is, you know, Abraway Trading, Spice Soup. And the question is whether your product, you know, would be a good fit to be distributed through such a organization. So you need to be careful, because actually they would say, yeah, we can do that. We will sell your product, but if you have a shop that's like that, probably you know where the problems would be, because they cannot professionally sell your product. Despite the fact they say, yeah, we do it cheap and so on, but they just simply lack the experience, the administration processes and all of that. And also, let's assume you need, for example, post-market surveillance. I mean, they cannot do it. So you need to be very careful with whom you work, who your partners are. So having this said, so this is the standard setup that we set. So if you're able to go here, but there's another possibility. So, and this is what a lot of companies do. They open up a local branch office, because they say the distributor should only be a logistic partner here. And we do all of the management. We all do of the customer management. We do the business development. We talk to the doctors. We do the things ourselves. Perfectly fine. Then you can also live you can also build your basically your branch office in a free zone. That's perfectly fine. But please be aware that this is a very, very expensive way to start your business. Because I'm always saying, look, you don't need to have an office here as long as you manage the distributor and the sales network, right? If you have a representative, it's way better than opening up a business office, branch office, whatever, because it will cost you, like, if you're doing a cheap, $200,000 to $300,000 in the first year, and you do not have any guarantee to sell anything. So then it's just like you have the administrative office. So, and it's not easy, you know, like to do so, specifically when you're remote. But if you want to do so, you can do that. And a lot of times there are free zones. And the free zones are a great thing. They're the business motor for the Middle East. It's not only for the UAE, but in general, there's everywhere there are free zones. These are special commercial zones where you can have 100% ownership and so on. But there are limitations. I mean, let's talk about first of the advantages. You can be the owner 100%. It's simple to set up. You're coming to a location where there's everything from the printing office to you can hire, secretary services, you have tax benefits, you have custom privileges. But at the same time, don't forget, you have to pay for all of that. Every single service, whether you use it or not, is priced into that. And normally they're really having a high occupancy. So the average is about 95%. So there might be a wait list so that you can open something. Or if you are opening a letterbox company, but then basically this is not serving the purpose that you want to, and on top of it, you might get very bad reputation. So you need to be very, very, very careful, right? So still, when you're there, as said, you don't have local market access. You still need a local distributor. So that's only a marketing tool. Very important. So the question is, do you want to invest 200, 300,000 into marketing right in the beginning? So the question is also, and then we asked a lot of entrepreneurs about when they failed, where they seen their main problems. So basically, one of the points was they had their products. The product market fit was not perfect. you need to do this. You need to get your product adapted to this market here. And if it's only the payment method or if it's the language, whatever, you need to understand the market, what the market wants, the needs and wants, as everywhere in the world. Then as said, you need to select very carefully with who you want to partner. There are a lot of consultants running around and they have no clue about what they do, right? Not everybody who says what they can do can really do. So you should, if possible, try to build a strong network. Then weak sales, that's also a point. You know, at a certain point, people do get the cash flow problem if they spend too much and then the sales don't pick up fast enough. So what you need is a long-term strategy for the market entry and also how you want to continue your growth. And of course, the cultural point is you need to be adapted. You cannot come here and say, okay, look, we think we will set up everything in 3 months. That's utopic. It's not possible. You need to give it time. You need to get to know the right people. As said, it's relationship selling. So now having this said, but there are ways to be successful. So the first thing is market, very clear. Like you need to understand the Middle Eastern market. What do people want and how is the market working? Who are the other players, right? You need to keep a low profile concerning the cost in the beginning. You need to understand really what you need in the beginning to be successful. It's not necessarily that you need a company, but you need a representation. You need local drivers. And that's a very important thing. You need on-the-ground partner that representing your brand in the right way and driving your business success. That is the utmost and most important thing that you would need to have. Local drivers. Your product itself is said, optimize it so that the impact will be here. You can, of course, have pilots. You can launch the things. You can talk to the people, also in your country. And they will tell you, okay, you need to probably change the people you're displaying in your app because they're not adequate for the Middle East. These are small things, but this is cultural, very important. And I said, I mean, like if you have a Arabic language version, perfect. They will love it. Networking, right? Try to build a reliable network that trusts you. And this can be only done over time and through being present. Here, if you have people, as everywhere in the world, there is a fair share of imposters, fraudsters, scams, not more than in other places. But you need to do your due diligence. You need to check the people. There is not everybody is a sheikh. Not everybody is wealthy. Not everybody is well connected. You need to do your due diligence. Find out. The best thing is always if people introduce you to people, right, where you can trust and say, okay, this person is legit. Also, cultural adaptation, you know, like you need to adapt your expectations when you do something here. You know, like it is happening, but sometimes it takes longer. It's more expensive, right? And therefore, you need to adapt your time frame and you need to be persistent, right? You need adequate time. It can be done. You don't need to have huge funds, no, but if you persistently follow the path of you want to enter this market here, you will be eventually successful. This is my absolute learning. So it's a wonderful place. So the saying basically goes that everything will take double as long and will cost you 4 times more than you expect, right? This is the rule of thumb. But the Middle East is a great place doing business with good profits. It's not possible to do this kind of business anywhere else right now. So it's currently also an optimal time to enter the Middle East because there's extreme growth, you have the governmental support, and there are many, many ongoing projects. There's so many options, right? Beware, your competition is already here in the one or the other form, right? So and if you don't come here, they will take your spot. Very clear. This spot will be not staying open for you. And the longer you wait, the more difficult it normally gets. This is the experience. I had people saying to me, oh, we should have already come here 5 years ago. And I said, yeah, but 5 years, if you would have come earlier than 5 years before, you would have told me, oh, it would have been better to be here even 5 years earlier. So it doesn't matter. So there's no bad. It's basically now is a good time to get in there, right? I wouldn't wait longer. a certain investment of money and time is needed. If you do not have much money, then time probably is the thing that you need to spend. And you will be successful in the end. Nobody can guarantee it, but there's a high probability if you really take this serious. And honestly, all of those things, double the cost, 4 times, all of the people, they're telling you all of that. Yeah, but only if you don't do your homework, right? You need to be patient, you need to do your homework, and you need to work with the right people. And then it's absolutely possible to be very, very successful. And you have to also see that Mercedes-Benz, right? They're super successful here. Well, 50 years ago, for them, it was probably the same situation where they said, okay, what can we do? How can we get there? Oh, there's not much, but we try it. Now it turns, very profitable, and it turns out for them that it has been a great idea to go to the Middle East. So here, just like for you, last question, having all heard of that, if I may ask, what do you think? What would be your what would be your challenges that you see when going into the Middle East? Culture, yeah, very good. Finding the right partner, okay. Proper local partners, yeah, pretty much the same. Cost, yeah, would be also, yeah, can be controlled. There are lots of possible ways. Exactly. So network, culture, very good. So exactly. So you got all of those points. And political instability, yeah, the country is surrounding, but the more unstable it gets around, for example, the more stable the GCC countries get. Yeah, I agree with you, but it's like a bit like UAE, for example, is a bit like you can compare to Switzerland. When there's trouble around, they get very calm, and they're a safe haven. Let's say it like that. Thank you very much for letting me this know. So actually, what I would like to do is, this is my offer to you in kind cooperation with the ICS and Advantage Austria. We talked about that, and we said, everybody probably has. This is very generic what I'm telling. So if you would like, please don't hesitate. Book a 30-minute free individual consulting where we can go through your product. I can give you some tips and tricks if you like. Would be my pleasure. You can either, scan this QR code. It will take you to Calendly, so you can just set up a meeting with me if you like. Or if you want to personally communicate with me, send me an email here on the davidraetz@prodvan.com. So please don't be shy. Use that opportunity. For me, it's very important. As said, my mission is to help you, right? And I'm very happy to do so. Just take me up on my offer to do so. So yeah, actually, we're coming to the last thing, and I want to go through that quite quick because some of you said they already been to the Middle East. Some of them are planning. I just want to give you the quick overview of useful things probably, and I thought I'll just give you some common expressions, and if you know those expressions, your life will be super easy in the Middle East. I'm here since 2010, and I do not speak Arabic, but these are the words that help me to get by every single day. Of course, when you come somewhere, and this is also good etiquette, if you like in China, you also say ni hao. Here's pretty much the same. So when you come somewhere, you say merhaba, means hello, welcome. Or you can also say salam alaikum. Yeah. When you reply, when somebody says salam alaikum to you, you say alaikum assalam, means like peace may be upon you and with you too. So this is very, very nice, and people will really appreciate. They will not try to talk Arabic to you. Don't worry. But if you have those standard phrases, it will be perfectly fine. And also, this is very good. Somebody tells you something, said, "Oh, I did great business recently." You say, "Alhamdulillah." Alhamdulillah means literally praise to be good, God. It means like, I'm very happy for you. Alhamdulillah. It's whether a child is born, you do business, or it did not rain when you travel to Europe, you can say Alhamdulillah. And people will say, oh, great, you already know how the things go here. The other thing is Inshallah. Inshallah, very important, God willing. And a lot of times here, don't be frustrated if somebody says, yes, we will get back to you, Inshallah. That doesn't mean I don't care what you say, or it doesn't mean I will not do it. It means like, yes, with good faith, we will come back to you in an adequate amount of time. It's like enforcing still. So yes, we will do it. So here in the UAE, for example, if somebody says Inshallah, yeah, then you say also Shukran, because Shukran means then thank you. One thing that is super important, don't laugh at me, Yalla. Yalla is basically let's go, let's do the thing. So if somebody is kind of too slow, you look at them and you go like Yalla, Yalla. That means like quick, quick. And then normally the people speed up. If you say that in the taxi, then the guy hits the floor, yeah, and you get very scared. When the taxi driver is getting too fast, you go, basically here is Yalla, Yalla. You go on the other side, which is Shui. Shui means slow, wait. And if you go like Shui, Shui means like don't push me, stop it. If somebody addresses you and says, sir, please have a look at my pashmina scarf, you go like Shui. And then they look at you and then it's silent. That's it. And if it's too much, you can even say khalas, means like stop it. That's it. I have enough. I go. It's a bit impolite, but sometimes. And if you have basically those words, you will get around everywhere. So it's super easy. The khalas I didn't put there because it's a bit impolite, but all of those, so you get those. With this, I don't know, couple of words, you can get along everywhere. Also very important, people always ask me, how do I recognize where somebody is coming from? And it's always great if you say, hey, wow, you're coming from Oman? I love Oman. And here you see in the middle, this is Oman, for example. And the guy is wearing a fez, very colorful, normally kind of hat, right? Coming originally from Africa, because they had great trade relations with Africa. So you can see, and also here the tassel, it's basically on the side. So this is easy to spot. That's an Omani. Basically, how can you see Kuwaiti? Very simple. And how can you see Bahraini and Kuwaiti? Very single. They don't have a tassel. So here you see they have here the buttons, right? But they don't have a kind of thing dangling around. And the more formal ones, these are Kuwaitis. They have a collar. And the Bahrainis, they have like a normal shirt collar, right? A French collar. So you can tell right away. And a lot of times, also the Kuwaitis have a bit more, I would say, folded hudra. This is the white headscarf. So very simple. So if you see somebody with a colorful face, Oman. If they don't have a tassel, right, you can look. If it's more formal, then it's Kuwaiti with a collar. If they have like a shirt collar, then it's Bahraini. Then very simple. Also, if you look at that, how do you recognize a Qatari? And a Qatari basically you recognize by the cobra. The cobra is basically how they fold their hudra. So if you see something that's looking a little bit aggressive and they have also a collar, then you know, okay, these are Qatari and they like shiny materials. They also have, most times, I call it always bling bling on their shoes, and then you can say. Then the Saudis are pretty relaxed. The Saudis you would normally recognize by their colorful headscarves, like it's either black and white or it's more commonly red and white. Then you know, okay. And they're wearing cufflinks. That's very important. They do not have a pocket so you could recognize them. And last but not least, the Emiratis. The Emiratis very easy to spot. If you're not sure if they're wearing a very, very long tassel in the middle, then you know it's an Emirati. So now we decoded the code, how you can recognize where somebody's coming from. It's always a perfect starter to talk to the people, right? And last but not least, okay, also for the ladies, I have to disappoint you. You cannot recognize where the ladies are coming from. So normally what they do is they're wearing an abaya. Yeah? Here in the region, they are not forced to wear an abaya. They like to do that. And then depending, the headscarf is shaila. It can be more or less depending also whether they're in a more familiar environment or not. But most of the ladies here, for example, a lot of them even don't wear a headscarf. So because nobody is forced. Same is true for Saudi Arabia. In the meantime, it's not necessary anymore. So even if ladies travel to Saudi Arabia, you don't need to worry. The religious police is completely powerless in the meantime. They might ask you if you're going to a religious place to cover up. Yes, but in normal daily life, nothing will happen, specifically also if you're recognizable as a Western person. So very, very easy. And how to behave there? Very simple. If you use your normal European business behavior, right? If you don't do something that you wouldn't do in a business environment, in those countries, you will be always safe and people will be very friendly. And also, if you do something wrong or if they don't approve, they will tolerate. They will not get aggressive and fight against you. They will probably say it's not appropriate if you're coming with whatever. If you're, for example, drinking alcohol in their presence, whatever. But they will accept it. And they say, yeah, you're different, it's perfectly fine. But the better choice is then, of course, to adapt a little bit. Or in doubt, ask them. They will be very happy to tell you, oh, we would do it like this. Would you drink alcohol? No, probably not. But I can join you for alcohol-free beer, right? So don't be shy. The people here are super, super nice and very, very hospitable. So bringing me to the last point of this webinar, basically is your questions and answers. And we've received some questions, and I'm not sure if the person who asked those questions would be in the audience, if I may ask. No? Okay, anyhow, I'm going to answer it because we're recording the whole webinar. So the first thing is mental health, yeah. What is the view on severe mental health disorders such as psychosis, schizophrenia in the Middle East? Here it's very clear. People do recognize that it's an illness, right? So people are not more stigmatized than in Western culture. Are there any countries, regions with a bigger focus on mental health than others? And are there investments being made to provide treatment? Yes, actually in every urbanized area, with Western companies, also with local companies, they want to have a well-being, and they also have a, like they need to take care of their employees. It's in the law. So that also includes mental health. So, and they need to set up programs. So here, yes, the investments are there. Probably rather like in the Western world, also the bigger companies are seeing this as a problem. But if you're approaching them and saying, look, we have a mental health product, they will be very happy to look at it because they are forced to take care of that. Hope this answers the question. Then investment. This is a good question. What is the track record of investments of UAE VC funds in early stage digital health medtech startups based in the EU? Is there any favorite area of investment? Which key points would increase the chances of winning investments in these funds? Okay, that's a very good question. I'm working with VC companies from time to time. There's currently no good record of UAE VC funds investing in European digital health medtech startups. Why? Very simple. Because what they want is something in return. So when you go here and say, we want to get money, right? And we will produce, we will design, we will distribute mainly in Europe. Why should those people invest? If you in contrary, go there and say, look, we're going to put this into the market in the Middle East first, right? We will set up our headquarters here. We will do the R&D work here in the UAE. Then they say, oh, be our guest. Perfect, wonderful. We have quite some funds to support you. But of course, you need to be aligned with our agenda, which is basically bringing a benefit to our region. So that means, like, if you want to win investments, take this into consideration and give them something. Tell them, look, here. And believe me, here is enough of money. So they have, and I mean, this is the difference between Europe and here. They really have still plenty of money, and they're looking for lucrative investments that would also bring a benefit to the region. I hope that answers the question. The last one we received before is basically about pilots. Is it reasonable to expect and plan for pilots at local hospitals, clinics, private or public sector? Depends. If you're going to governmental hospitals, no, because they are chronically understaffed. They don't have time to do that. If you go for a private hospital, for example, if you want to do a study with a Cleveland clinic, you can, but you have to pay for it because they are commercial institutions, and they say also, even if we explore something for you with a pilot, what do we get in return? It could be equity. It could be that the first ones to have it if it's a great USP. It could be you pay them. It's absolutely possible, whatever. But these are commercial institutions, and commercial institutions normally are not known to be at the very forefront of research because it costs a lot of money. Is it mandatory or highly desirable that pilots are conducted in Arabic, or would we plan to execute them first in English? It depends on the region. If you want to do it in Saudi Arabia, yes, you need to go for Arabic because the English, would say the command of English is not always good. If you go to other regions, for example, like Qatar, Bahrain, UAE, the smaller countries, I would say, you can very clearly also do it in English, perfectly fine. Arabic is not mandatory. This is the same also for your products. It's good to have it in Arabic, but it's not mandatory, specifically for professional use. They assume that you will be providing the languages that your professionals would be working in. So if most of your professionals coming from Russia, add the Russian language. If most of them are coming from Egypt, it's preferable to also have Arabic added. Do they have GPDR regulations? Yeah, so basically data protection. Similar to the EU, yes, they have. They have very clear rules, such as the requirements of EU-based servers to process patient information. Absolutely. So if you go to Saudi Arabia and if you want to handle patient data, the data must not leave Saudi Arabia. Very simple. And you're fully responsible for that. Same is true with the UAE, same is true for all other countries. If they don't have a regulation like that in place, they're planning for having this regulation available soon. And therefore, it is really a point. Data protection requirement is always an issue, and you should plan for that right away.
Mr. Raetz, we received one more question in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Referring to everything you said about communication and culture, should a woman-owned business prepare differently before entering the market?
In regards of being a female entrepreneur?
Yes.
No, actually, because I can say that here the value of the ladies, for example, in the UAE is extremely high. How can you say that? Yeah, because there are a lot of female entrepreneurs, and there is a lot of, for example, like in the government, it's split 50-50. That means like all of the 50% of the ministers are ladies. Did you know that? So actually, it's quite interesting. They're very, very progressive. And business-wise, there's not a big deal. And I'm also dealing with ladies here running companies, like two ladies, for example, regulatory agency. And no, you need to be prepared, and they will see you as an equal business partner. There's no matter, at least I've never witnessed any problems specifically in the Gulf countries.
Perfect, thank you.
Very good to hear. So if there are any other questions, you can type it in, or also please let me know anytime, because actually here is my my contact details, and I would appreciate if you connect with me. As said, network is everything. I'm very happy to also go with you a little bit more into your product if you're interested in. These are all my contact details. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always sharing quite some information about what's going on in the Middle East. And I think with this, very close to the deadline of 2 o'clock, I would like to finish my presentation, and I would like to say thank you very, very much for your time, your patience, listening to all of that. And I am absolutely sure, so if you're venturing into the Middle East, it will be very, very beneficial for you. It will take some time, it will cost you some nerve, but I mean, that's life, you entrepreneurs. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But and don't be shy, just ask. I don't know anybody who would not be happy to answer any questions if they ask. So in this regard, I want to say thank you very much for your time, and it was lovely having you as an audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Raetz, for your interesting presentation. I liked it really very much, especially the interactive parts, but not only. And I would like to point out some three future events of DESIRE shortly, briefly. The first one is Pitch, Connect, and Explore Opportunities in November 27th. There are still one last pitching slot. So if you're interested in the P2P event, please apply for it. The next one is getting ready for Arab Health 2025. That is our second webinar in preparation for the Arab Health. And the content is 5 key strategies for mastering communication in the Gulf region in January 15th. And then, of course, we have the business trip to the Arab Health. All places are still full, but if we can meet you there, we will be happy. And I would like to thank all participants again, and I'm sure that the recording will be shared very often. And I would like to thank again Mr. Brunner, and I wish you a nice day. Thank you.